Today, in the process of the litigation, the first step is to file the actual lawsuit. The court issues a summons, and it gives you jurisdiction over the parties. And to bring the parties into the litigation, you have to actually personally serve the lawsuit. Okay, and it's not just a symbolic one; it's a very technical one. I'm now going to have to go back to the court with a declaration of sorts and say, on this date, at this location, I served this party. Okay, the court now has jurisdiction over the county. Sometime today, I understand Deputy Gelhaus was also served. Okay, so the court now has jurisdiction over him.
Okay.
On February 6th, the court will have the first status conference. The court's going to want to discover or find out what the issues are, what are the stumbling blocks. The court's going to want to know when we want to take this to trial. In other words, a schedule of events. My goal is to get this to trial in front of a jury before the end of the year.
Is this typical, or is it not the way?
The technical aspects of the lawsuit, there's federal claims, constitutional claims. The Constitution is the supreme law of the land. I can sue the government tomorrow on a federal claim. State law claims are very different. Okay. They require a two-step process. First, I've got to give the county notice.
Okay.
As soon as the family hired me, I gave them written notice of our intention to sue them for negligence, to bring a wrongful death case. Okay. I had to wait 45 days. The 45 days lapsed on December 16th. So we took a federal complaint. We hadn't served it yet. We amended the state law claims, wrongful death and the punitive damages claims.
Okay.
And now we have one lawsuit in federal court with all of the claims. Okay. They all arise out of the same facts and circumstances, the shooting, and now we are going to litigate those. And today was the first formal step. They now have it. They now know what the allegations are. They have 30 days to answer. We're going to be in front of the court, and it's on.
How would this satisfactorily resolve for the family at this point?
It wouldn't.
Right, okay.
It wouldn't. It wouldn't. The reason that the lawsuit was filed as soon as it was, I think it was 3 days after the shooting, representatives from the Sheriff's Department and the City of Santa Rosa Police Department stood in front of the media, the public, the world, and compared the toy gun with an AK-47. And they said, look, it was reasonable for Andy Lopez to die. Okay? It was Andy Lopez's fault. Okay? That was the message. That was the message. They said it was reasonable for Deputy Gelhaus to believe that it was a real gun. And Andy's actions, pointing that gun at Gelhaus, okay, justified the shooting. Okay? The reason we're bringing this lawsuit is because they've already concluded, okay, that it was reasonable to shoot Andy, that the force was not excessive, that his tactics were proper. Okay? They've made that conclusion. We know they've made that conclusion because they stood in front of the public and essentially, symbolically said that. In fact, they explicitly said that. Okay? There's no reason to wait. Okay? The criminal investigation, when they put forth this written documentation of their investigation in front of the district attorney, I suspect she is going to conclude that it was justified. I expect, shamefully, but I expect that she's not going to prosecute Gelhaus. Okay? The only justice, the only real justice, Gelhaus is going to be put to task in front of a federal jury in Oakland, and he's going to be held to answer, and he's going to have to explain. I expect that he's going to assert his right against self-incrimination. Okay, that's his right.
Is there any chance that Gelhaus will ever carry a weapon again and be on the street again?
I expect that, they say that they're going to have the report out by the middle of July. At that point, I expect that he's going to be, the conclusion is going to be that the shooting is justified. At that point, the internal investigation, okay, might conclude thereafter. and that's internal affairs. It's basically, did he violate any internal policies, any procedures? Did this shooting violate any of the Sonoma County Sheriff's Office's rules? And if so, how are we going to discipline him? It isn't a criminal proceeding. It is an internal administrative proceeding. Slap on the wrist. Personnel issue. They may fire him. I doubt it. Okay.
But could they early retire him?
Anything's possible. I mean, if I were the Sheriff's Department, I would distance myself immediately and completely from him. I would. I would. I suspect they're going to do the same. Clearly, there's a conflict between the county and Deputy Gelhaus. I expect that the county, instead of county counsel here, they're going to find private counsel to defend him. Okay? Obviously, if there's a jury verdict against him, the county's going to indemnify them. They have to. Okay? It was course and scope. In other words, he was carrying out his work. He did it negligently. Okay? No reasonable person, much less a trained police officer like him, who's a firearms expert, okay, would have approached it that way. It isn't just the shooting itself. It's a question of tactics. Okay? And tactics are completely flawed. Okay? What are you going to get when you approach somebody from behind? If not, they're going to turn. They come screeching behind him. They yell to him. He turns around. And that they use that act, his turning around, to justify the shooting. The tactics are completely flawed. And that's the allegation here.
That would make sense. I mean, the person is going to turn when someone tries to get their attention.
Right.
Is it possible that through all of this, the way police are trained will change? If they're going to try to get some change out of that, could this prosecution of Gelhaus perhaps at least make that aspect of police training change?
The shameful part of this is that Gelhaus was the trainer.
I understand that.
Yeah. And so you'd hope that, the entire department is going to look very closely at how they do their training. If their own trainer is going to act as negligently as he did here, at the very minimum, grossly negligent. When you look at the community here, I mean, every Board of Supervisors meeting, the folks are here, they're passionate, it's a crescendo. Every board meeting. It's not going to change. It's not going to change. And we'll see. We'll see.